Hello and welcome. If this is your first time here, I'm Garth Allen. This is Racing News Now, and we're joined today by 2020 ARCA Menards Series West champion Jesse Love. Jesse, how's that feel to have champion in front of your name now?
Got a good ring to it.
I'll bet it does. So, let's talk about this season. 3 wins, 9 top 5s, and 11 races. Pretty dominating season overall, but it wasn't without competition there from Blaine Perkins, especially late in the season. Just talk us through what was the biggest high point to you of this season?
Yeah, probably just picking up the championship, and I knew it was going to be a long season, and but we made the most out of it, and obviously got a championship out of it, which is really cool, and got some wins with it along the way as well, and just team did a great job, even when we had our rough patch there with which really shortened up the gap of the points. So we made the most out of it, and we always milked the most out of every scenario that we could. And the only times we were outside of the top five was when we had a brake failure, and when we had another brake failure at Phoenix. So it's there's really not a whole lot more you can ask from a team to milk the most out of situations, and my VMR team did a great job at that, and it was a championship team for sure, and that's the biggest thing, is just making the most out of every single week, and every single race that you can, and building a great job at leading the team as well.
Well, you talked about milking the most out of every situation. Let's go back to those 3 wins this season. One at Utah, one at Irwindale, one at Colorado. Which of those three stands out the most to you? Which one do you look back on and maybe is your favorite win from this season?
Yeah, I mean, they're all cool and unique, and they're different in all different ways. I mean, um, Colorado, we were dominant, like just extremely dominant, and just got about taken out every restart, and that was like the most rough we've been run all year, and we found ourselves the most dominant car you can probably get at a racetrack, probably I've ever had in a car, was Colorado, and we go there that good, and then we found ourselves in third with like 10 to go. It was like, how did we get to this point? And we were still able to get the win, and track down the 9 car from a whole straightaway back. I mean, that's pretty incredible in the span of like 4 laps. Like a new beast unleashed inside of me and inside the car, and we were so good there. And Jason did a great job with the car, and everybody else involved did a phenomenal job. And that was cool because we were able to come back from that, and we didn't give up. And speaking about not giving up, like we went to Irwindale, and we were really good at Irwindale. Probably not quite as good as we were at Colorado, but we were really good there. Put on the pole by like a tenth and a half, and we were really good at Irwindale. We had our spots, but we weren't very good, but we were good enough in areas to where we could compensate for the places we weren't very good, and we lost the lead on a restart, and I haven't started on the bottom all day, and then I found myself starting on the bottom, and it took the 6 car, at his home track, like 6, 7, maybe even like 8 or 9, 10 restarts to be able to get me on the bottom, and I have to do it on my first try because it's like pretty much a green white checkered, like 5 laps to go basically. So, but I refused to lose that one, and drove the thing in there, uh, really deep, and the thing was pointing at the wall halfway through the corner, and just stuck with it, and just got on the gas as hard as I could, and drove it up to the wall as fast as I could, and you couldn't fit a piece of paper between us. So that was cool for the fans that were there watching, and virtually of course, and um, that was different and unique too. That was the first race we had without fans the whole year, and that was a bummer. Getting out of the car, not seeing the fans, but you gotta do what you gotta do to keep people safe at the end of the day, and safety is our number one priority, of course, and especially as a race car driver, that means a lot to us. And but that was cool. That was breakthrough as well. And the Irwindale and the Colorado races were very similar. And obviously, my first one of the year with ARCA was really important. For a few different reasons. One, that was I wasn't like the road course ringer, right? Like Blaine was really good at road course with him growing up on road course, and obviously Will Rogers doesn't need an explanation for that one. And having some open wheel road course guys like the guy that was in the 7 car with him coming, and just different people, and that were really good road course ringers, and that was one of the most stiff competition we've had all year, and I was still able to win that and be mature about it and win it the right way. Not just drive the wheels off the thing the whole time, but be smart and not slip tires, and that was big for me. Good for my confidence the next time I go back to a road course, which will be really soon, and that's just really important for me going through the ranks, and with NASCAR incorporating more, road racing in general, road course racing in general, that'd be really big for me too. So they're all big in their own different ways, and every race had a cool ending to it, I guess.
You mentioned going back to a road course soon. Where are you going to a road course soon?
Yeah, so I'll be doing Winter Heat in Charlotte this year.
Okay.
So I'll be doing some of that with Legend Cars.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
So was there ever a point this season, as we got down the stretch this season, it became pretty clear that it was going to come down to you and the 9 car for this championship. Was there ever a point where you thought that this championship might be about to slip away from you?
Definitely there were scenarios where it could have. We kind of dug ourselves a hole halfway through the season. We had some things really go wrong, and we had to, dig ourselves out of that hole, right? So we had to get a big shovel, but we worked really hard, and nobody gave up. That was important too, and we put a lot of preparation into our Phoenix car, and put a lot of preparation, into a lot of different, cars and for different racetracks. But we had some things happen that was just like, what is going on here? Like it was insane. Like, some things that like have never happened to myself or the team, and some things that you just couldn't control, right? So it was just weird to have that happen. We're just, why is this happening? But that's not our job to know. We can't control how everything happens, but everything happens to God's will for a reason, and it came out with us win the championship. So, I always had faith in my number 19 Napa team, and Bill McNally Racing in general did a great job at keeping us out in front, and we always came to the track as the favorite, in my opinion. So I know we did that the whole year, and that went a long way.
Well, it seemed like probably those last 3 races, Roseville, Kern, and Phoenix, it seemed like you were a little off compared to what you were most of the rest of the season. Was there really any explanation to that? Do you know why that was?
Yeah, so at Roseville, we had a motor problem happen at Vegas, and it happened about halfway through. We're not sure what happened. It felt like a pinch fuel line or something like that, where the motor wasn't really turning any RPM. And, we were really dominant the whole day with putting on the pole by about a 10th and just being really fast and working on our race run speed as well. So, we thought we had it fixed for All-American after Vegas, but we didn't, clearly. We went to All-American, and in practice, like, we were so fast and we were so good that we were still like second quick, third quick, and there were some East guys there, but we felt like really fast, and we didn't understand why we weren't faster. Even when we were at the top of the boards, we knew there was more. So I got behind one of the other cars and followed him around, and we eat him up in the corner, and we get left in the straightaway, and I was just wondering like what could possibly be going on, and we tried to fix it. We changed literally everything, with the exception of fuel lines and motor, and we still had the problem in the race, and we had a spark plug wire fall off. So it was just like all of these different things like kind of really hindered us, and the spark plug wire falling off was the biggest thing, and that really hurt us. I mean, I was running in third gear for half the race, so that was one of the races where we have something that could have been really bad. We should have run like 9th or 10th, right? But we somehow just bide our time the whole time and waited for the right spot, and when the opportunity presented itself, we just pounced on it. We ran 4th with it. So that was one of those things where it could have been really bad, but we somehow extended our points lead that night. So that happened there, and then we went to Kern, and we were insanely, like, ridiculously fast at Kern. It was kind of similar to Colorado with how good we were. I was a little tight at Colorado, and I was a little free at Kern in the practice and race runs and practice and qualifying. And we were just so fast and felt really good about the car, and started on the pole of the race, and dominated for most of the beginning portion of the race. Whether we started on the inside or the outside, we just made it work, and shaping up to be a really good night. But we started to get brake pedal halfway through, and had started to get more sway in the brake pedal, and then eventually the front brakes went out, and all I had was rear brakes, and it was definitely hindered us there, which wasn't good. And eventually lost brakes. We were somehow able to, even without having front brakes, drive back up to second, and then we felt good at maybe getting to the 17 on the restart, but then we got shot off the racetrack, and then we had no brakes, and that was just kind of the end of it. And so it's weird because we've been better than we have been all year. We've just been having these small things go wrong, which was frustrating, because we know like we would have been so insanely dominant that it would have been a really cool ending of the season. And then at Phoenix, obviously points racing there the whole time, just finding a gap and either drive forward to get to the gap or drive backwards to get to the gap, and back off to get to where there was no cars around me and I could just ride. I knew I had a 14-point lead, and I knew the 9 car wouldn't win the race, so I just had to bide my time. And then we lost brakes there, so that was a little weird too. But somehow made the most of it, and team did a great job with giving me a good piece all year, and our speed was just so fast all year, which was a really good feeling. And we definitely found ourselves as the favorite throughout the year.
So one thing I've noticed from chatting with you as much this season as we have is you seem very mature beyond your years, a lot more mature than I would expect a 15-year-old to be at this level, very cognizant of what is happening around you. What's the biggest takeaway that you've had from this season? What do you feel you've learned the most this season to help you go forward in your career?
Yeah, I think it's just establishing yourself. Probably the most important thing I've said all year was just I feel like we were the favorite the whole year, and I knew I was going to win the championship before the first race of the season at Vegas, and that was the most important thing. Even when things went wrong, somehow they went right in a sense. So we had some of those situations where maybe we were a little bit lucky, and sometimes we were a little bit more lucky than we were good that night. But when you work hard and you know that you can win, and you have a direct path, or you have a path to get there, God has a funny way of doing it, but He'll point you on the straight and narrow. And we always found ourselves in a situation where we could win the race no matter what. And just put yourself around great people and work harder than anybody else in the room. And when you think you're working hard enough, just do a little more than that. And never stop developing yourself and always getting better. And preparation, like Chase Elliott kind of pointed on this in his interview, just you can kind of do anything you think you can if you put yourself in the right situation and you give yourself the right preparation to do it. And that was probably the most important thing. I don't feel like we were ever, as far as I'm like that I could control, I never felt like I was unprepared the entire season. The only time I was underprepared at any race, I think, was was at a test session, and it made me feel horrible. And I wasn't as fast as I should have been at that test session, and I knew I wasn't going to feel like that for the rest of the year. And we went back to all the rest of the races, and I knew I was the favorite no matter what.
Definitely. I think that's some great advice all around for any young racers coming up, is just always don't necessarily expect, but believe that you are the best. And I think that definitely works for you, and I mean, it works for a lot of people, it seems like. So, lastly here, what do you got coming up in the off-season? I know you mentioned the Legends race at Charlotte. You doing anything else over the off-season?
Yeah, I mean, I'm literally have an off-season, that's the thing. So it's a word that's used a lot, but, I got some Legend racing coming up, obviously, as we touched on, and I'll be doing the next few weeks midget racing, some sprint car racing, a little bit of double duty stuff in that. So that'll be pretty cool, and I just got to keep on developing myself for next year, and that'll be my winter season, I guess you could say. So hopefully I'll find some other stuff to do during the off season maybe, and get ready for next year.
All right, well, that's Jesse Love, your 2020 ARCA Menards Series West champion. Jesse, congratulations on the championship, man. Well deserved.
Awesome. Thanks, buddy.